Hi everyone, and welcome to another Cleft chat. I did my first Cleft chat a few months ago with my mum so that you could see what Cleft life is like from the perspective of a parent, so I'll link that in the description in case you want to see it. So today I'm here with my best friend Kate.
Hello.
And I thought it'd be interesting just to see what it's like to be friends with a Cleftie. So just like last time, I've written some questions that I'm going to ask Kate, and Kate has got some questions that she's going to ask me, and I'm hoping that by having this chat today, you'll be able to see that our friendship is not affected by my Cleft and it's just like any other friendship. So I'll start by asking you some questions. When you first met me, did you notice my Cleft at all? Did you realise I was different? Like, what were your first impressions?
Well, I think for me, because I met you when we were really, really young. I mean, we were like, I don't know, we were in nursery, we were like 2 or something. So, I mean, for me, I've literally known you since we were only a few years old. So when I first met you, I didn't notice, you were any more different from anyone else. I just thought, you were like anyone else. But I think, as we got a bit older, maybe like junior school kind of time, I started to maybe notice, well, maybe you are a bit more different from other people because, I mean, I remember you, because we were in the same class in, year 4, I remember you coming back, later after an operation, after you'd been gone for some time, and I felt like that's when I started to realise, oh, okay, maybe you are a bit more different from, like me and maybe some of my other friends at the time. And I think for me, I just asked my mum, I was just I was curious. I didn't see it in a negative way or anything. I just used to ask her, why does Bronwyn look a bit more different, and she just used to tell me, well, when you're growing in your mum's tummy, that sometimes people just grow a bit differently, and that's perfectly normal. And I think that's the key really, just education, as young kids are curious, and if we teach them early on, about, how differences are normal and fine, then we can grow up to be adults and understand these kind of things and not be so arrogant about it sometimes, really have a deeper understanding, I think.
So my next question is, have you ever found it difficult being friends with me because I look different and people might stare or make comments as we're walking around together? So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're such a lovely, lovely person. I don't think it could ever be hard being friends with you. I mean,
Thank you.
She's amazing, honestly. But I think for me, I find it difficult sometimes, because, you have a lot of additional, stresses and worries and, like operations, who else has operations, at such a young age? That must be so hard. And also when people were mean to you, and you'd be upset, and it's really hard to see that, because I care about you and I don't want you to be sad. So I find that difficult sometimes, but also I have noticed when we're wandering, around school or wherever, people make just stupid little comments, especially when they're in, groups, because they think they can say whatever they like and it doesn't matter. They think, oh, I'll just make a stupid little comment, about it, and they'll say it quietly, but it annoys me, because they're clearly too cowardly to say it, to your face, just on their own. But I also just don't understand it, because I mean, for me and for all your other friends, we've just known you, this is Bronwyn, I don't see anything different, and I find it frustrating that people will just make, stupid little comments like that, I just find it annoying. I get a bit protective over you, I guess. I find it really annoying. So it's not difficult, because you're such a lovely person, but it's difficult to see you upset, and have to struggle.
That's so sweet.
Thank you.
Would you say that my Cleft has had any effect on our friendship, be that good or bad or just not at all?
Well, I think for me, really it's had a good effect on our friendship, because obviously, I mean, you've had a Cleft since you were born, so, I mean, it is a part of you, and you've grown up with this, and it's shaped you to be the person you are today. So, obviously that will have an effect on our friendship, because who knows, if we would have even been friends without it, because it is a part of you, So in that respect, it's definitely a good thing. And I think also for me, because I have dyslexia, I'll be sat there in class with my bright blue paper, and it's quite obvious, that I'm different as well, I feel like that gives us, we can sympathise with each other, because we both have, something that makes us stand out a little bit more than other people. So I think, in a way it gives us, you know, it makes us feel more confident in ourselves, and, you know, it gives us, you know, we can talk to each other if we're struggling or anything, you know. So I think that has actually helped as well, you know, it's had a good effect because we can both, you know, sympathise with each other.
Do you have any advice for someone who's friends with a cleftie or who wants to be friends with someone who has a cleft?
Well, I think as somebody, you know, without a visible difference, I've not been through the same experiences as you. I don't know what it must have been like to, you know, have all these operations and all this additional like stress. But I think just being there to just listen, you know, and offer support and advice where you can, just, you know, being like caring and just showing that you really care about them, you know, and offering as much advice as you can, you know, putting yourself in their shoes, you know, what must it be like for them, you know, and think about all the things they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, you know. Just really just, you know, being honest and kind and just trying your best, because that's all you can do really, you know, just being there for them.
Thank you so much for answering those questions. Kate has now got some questions for me, I think.
Yes.
So shall we get started with those?
Yes. Well, I was just, you know, wondering really, I mean, because I don't have a visible difference, do you feel that there's some things that you can't tell me to do with your cleft because you think maybe I wouldn't understand? Or do you tell me everything, you know?
I think at the start of any friendship, my cleft isn't really something I talk about too much, just because it's quite personal and it used to be something that I'd find really emotional to have to talk about. But now we're that close that I actually don't think there's anything I wouldn't ever tell you. I'm pretty sure you know everything about me. So yeah, now I literally tell you anything. And even though you don't have a cleft, that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't understand everything I've had to go through. So I feel really, really comfortable telling you like literally anything.
I was also going to ask, like, is there anything in particular that you'd find beneficial from a friend, you know, to support you as someone with like a visible difference?
I think the main thing for me, which is something that you do very well, is just having like a listening ear, because having a visible difference can be quite tough. Because of like surgery, bullying and so many things that I've mentioned so many times before on my channel. So a lot of the time I will have one thing or another on my mind, and it's just so nice to know that I have you that I can talk to about anything, and you'll always have the best advice and kind words and support. So I think that for me is the main thing that I think makes an amazing friend of someone with a visible difference.
Thank you. And also I was going to ask, you know, obviously this year's a very big year for us, you know, next year we're going to uni, like, do you worry, like, you know, going to uni you're going to struggle making friends perhaps, or do you worry about people's first impressions of you, you know, because obviously this is a whole bunch of new people, you know, does that affect anything for you?
I feel like it's not something that I overly stress or worry about, just because I feel like going to uni there's so many other new experiences that I'll be doing for the first time that I'll probably be quite nervous about. So making friends isn't like the main thing I'm worried about, but I guess it is something that is going to be in the back of my mind, because the first thing people notice about you is your appearance, you know, that. So my cleft probably is going to play a role in the first impressions that people get of me when I go to uni. But I'm hoping that just like you may have done at one time, they'll be able to get past that and see beyond my differences and realise that there's so much more to me. And hopefully they'll be able to see me for who I really am, and then making friends won't be an issue. Hopefully.
I was also wondering, you know, do you have any advice for someone who might be like in school with a visible difference with like making new friends, you know, and things like that?
I'd say just to remember that your differences don't define you. You're so much more than them. And so don't feel the need to explain why you might look different. I have made that mistake a few times. And I think sometimes it can put people off if they're not really too sure what you're on about. So just remember that your differences don't define you. Don't feel the need to explain them. And also just surround yourself with people that make you feel good and maybe that have similar interests to you. But above all, just be yourself, and then people will like you for you. I think that's just about it for the questions, isn't it? Thank you so much for joining me. I've really enjoyed it.
That's okay. Thank you for inviting me, you know, it's been great, and honestly, I'm so lucky to have a friend like you. She's amazing. Honestly, she's such a genuine, honest, kind, beautiful person. Honestly, I'm so lucky.
Thank you so much. I'm so lucky to have you too. And thank you to you guys as well for watching this video. I really hope you found it helpful and got an insight into what it's like to be friends with someone with a cleft. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed it and realised that friendship does not have to be affected by the fact that people are different. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!
See ya!
Bye!